Dave here. How are you? Today is the 20th of September 2020, and you might wonder why I'm feeling so happy, because the stream kicked off. I've got my head around the new software. I know how to do it. I'm not going to tell anyone. It took me forever to work it out, but got it sorted. And the video's coming through really well. Excellent. That's terrific. I'm so relieved. Okay, so I'm hoping everyone's well. I had a good week. There has been a hurricane kicking through the States. I feel sorry for the people that have been affected by that. At the moment in Australia, it's just a lovely day. It's spring day and a bit of rain in the Blue Mountains where I am. And you can tell I am very relieved. Okay, here in Arizona, 39 degrees Celsius. That is warm. Okay, watching live for the first time for a while. Good on you, Michael. How are you? Now, today on the show, let me have a look at my run sheet. We've got Cole Hosey has sent in a project or two that he's been doing. So you know, Cole was last week when I was, the week before when I was using the Gifkins jig to do work on this box over here. Or it might have been last week. Yeah, probably was. Oh, crazy. It was last week. So he is the guy who has Gifkins jig. He's not the inventor. Some people were under the impression that he was the inventor. He's not. He purchased the business from the person who did invent it, and he's moving forwards with it and enhancing and doing his own things with it as well. Have a look. Links in the description box if you are interested. Links down there for all sorts of things. The tongue drum project. We're going to continue on with that, and we're going to making some principles on the baseboard and the soundboard. Now, I've been researching this during the week, and I have found some interesting facts about it, stuff that I was not aware of. So my first attempt at making the soundboard hasn't been great. I'm going to build another soundboard out of some jarrah. Now, I prepared this jarrah during the week, as I say, trying to get prepared for you guys. And also welcome to my new patrons, Dylan, Henry, and Larry. Thank you very much. If you're interested in supporting me, links in the description box down the bottom. And I will throw your name up here if you're a new patron. Throw it up there. And if you're in a particular tier and above, you get to have your name on the scrolling text at the end of the show. And sometimes I read your name out. Let's have a look at what I'm going to do. So this is a piece of jarrah. Now, I can't use ordinary glue for jarrah. I must use the other stuff, the two-part, all right, the epoxy. The reason being, jarrah is grown natively in Western Australia in very acidic soil. The tree absorbs that acid and it will go through conventional glues. Epoxy is not affected by acid, so that is fine to use. Okay, there we go. Morning, Dave. I have a quick read down the side here. Andrew N, morning from Leppington. Matthew Leah, I should say, morning. Paul Weglage, I hope that's how you pronounce your name. Morning from, or hi from Miamisburg. I've never heard of Miamisburg. Okay, and then John Lowry's doing the looking after, telling everyone to put their thumbs up. Woodwork and Whiskers, good morning. How are you? Hit the like button. Yes, yes. All good, all good. So that's all the social stuff out of the way. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to glue this template. So I've made this template up. It's nothing special. If I come too close to the camera, it doesn't like that, does it? There you go. So I'm going to glue it to the board so we can cut it out. Now, I'm not going to use any wood glue. I'm just going to use a glue stick. Okay? That's all you use. So quickly do that. Matt, thank you. Thank you so much. Feel free if you want to do that, by all means. I'm not going to stop you. Let's go to CarlCam, and there we go. So I'm going to show what we do here. Quickly undo that. Screw the glue out like lipstick. Turn her upside down. You'll notice that I've got two that I've drawn on the back there. I'm not going to go with this one. I'm going to go with this one here. So I'm going to put glue all over this side. is pretty easy. And the other direction. Now I'm putting this glue on first off at the beginning of the show, so it gives it a bit of a chance to dry so we can actually use it. I'm going to come in about the same distance from either side and just pop it down. I can slide this around a little bit as it's going off. I think there'll be good. And there, back up this way just a touch. Beautiful. Done. There you go. Not too hard. Now, whilst we've got that like that, I'm going to get the tongue drum that I've been making. And you can see that's the pattern that Australian Woodsmith gave me to use. Now, it looks really, really nice. G'day, Cole. How are you? I've held off on showing your little projects from home until you came onto the show, because I thought you might want to watch. And then when people all clap, you can just smile and say, thank you. Let me switch over to this one here. Now, I've been doing a little bit of mucking around, as I was saying. The whole thing with these drums is you must make it an airproof box all around, except for the top area here, which is the soundboard. So you'll see in the bottom, I've already got a jarrah base, and I'm going to show you a couple of things during the construction. Now, to put that base in, there are a lot of clampage on that box. I had to do it to stop the air moving, just to get a sample of what it was going to be like. Now, under here, you remember, because I used Cole's jig to do all the dovetail joints, and haven't they come up absolutely beautiful? Because I've done that, I've actually got ahead of myself here. How about we have a look at sanding it? Because, why not? So, over and check for square on my belt sander, and slowly, slowly, slowly sanding them down, just making sure that I'm getting the dovetails only, and not really working on the faces yet. Now I can work on the face, on the sander, and then I'll move over to the ETS5. I think I went through 80 grit down to maybe 220, because the plan is at this stage to go with whittle wax to finish it off, because I'm very, very impressed with that stuff. It doesn't send the timber dark, and it's fine for eating off, all that kind of stuff. Now this is a rebate bit with variable bearings. I'm going to talk about that in a second. This is the part that I wanted to get to. So I'm creating the rebate, or what you guys in the States call it rabbit, in the base to accommodate this piece of jarrah. So it's a fascinating process, isn't it? On there, what I did, if I've got any of those here, this is what I did. First of all, I looked for the correct bearing to put on my rebate cutter. Now, I've got a stack of bearings that I can put on here, which changes the distance from the outside of the cutter back, so it sets the depth. I could have a really small bearing or the real large one at the top. The larger the bearing, the smaller the rebate or rabbit. The smaller the bearing, the larger the rebate. It's still going to be able to be varied in depth back up inside the box by how far I raise the cutter up and down out of the table. So I started off with a very, very shallow pass. I think it was 2 millimeters in depth on the bottom of the box. So you can see down here. So it was 2 millimeters deep. So I didn't get any split out or tear. So that worked well. Then I think I probably did around 5 passes in total. Again, just raise the cutter up in the router table a few millimeters at a time until I got to as deep as I was planning, which was, I think I came up about 25 millimeters. That piece in the bottom there, that jarrah, is 19 millimeters thick. Now, one of the things about these drums is you try and create as much mass in this box as possible. Now, you don't want to fill it up totally, because if there's no air in there to move around, you're not going to get the tones. There's a couple of things about the tones. All right, and the air has to be able to move out of the box and back in. So every time you hit one of these tongues, one of those guys there, you have a few things that work here. You have the timbre, the quality, the tonal resonance quality of that timbre, and also you have the air inside moving. You have the mass of the box. Take you to speaker boxes. So if you've got a hi-fi, back in the days when my father and I built a stereo system, like we bought all the bits and pieces from Garrard, if that takes you back in Australia, and the turntable, and we made the speaker boxes, and we put a fair bit of mass in the speaker boxes before we actually put the speakers in. Now, I've also got a friend who has a guitar amplifier, and he was also saying, you know, the heavier the box, so, for the whole system, you're just going to get a much better sound out of the speaker. Same principle here. Now, I have clamped this on. I'm just thinking about whether I should talk about anything else in the meantime. I possibly should. This timber wasn't just like this, and the timber here wasn't just like this. This was, believe it or not, this particular timber was a log from my front yard. So we had a tree taken down a couple of years ago, and you might be able to see somewhere Australian bloodwood I've written on the end. Now, I've got a heap of these sections of tree that are possibly 3 to 4 feet long. If you have a look back through my videos, you'll see that I removed, I've got a little excavator, and I picked all the pieces up after they've been cut. And the tree diameter is about that. It's beautiful. So these, you'll see there, I think on that one, you'll see it's quarter sawn. How nice. And it's got quite nice tone if we have a quick listen. Now that may not sound like a lot, but in the scheme of things it is. All right, so I was working with that, and also I had some jarrah that I was working with at the same time. So let's go over and we'll have a look at ripping the bass and also working on the soundboard. I've got a nice heavy duty rip blade in there, and this is a piece of jarrah that's around 11 inches wide or 225 mil wide. It was only a short piece that I had, so I'm taking out, I think it's about 154 millimeters wide. And then over to the bandsaw, and you notice that I'm using those push blocks. This is one that one of my daughters, Bianca, got for me for Father's Day. And that thing is absolutely fantastic. I feel so safe using it. Now, I have got a couple of them now, and I use them on the jointer as well. So that's the jarrah being ripped down to thickness. I think I've got a 19 and a 16 mil coming off there. And this is the bloodwood again, because I do have two different types of, two different soundboards that I'm making. One that I've already made and I'm not overly happy with it, and the other one we're going to work on today. And it's come up quite nice. Back to me again. Okay. Are you interested in what I'm talking about here, or are you all going to sleep in the corner? I'm reading down the side here, so not many comments, so maybe you are interested. I notice sometimes when I do the videos, this live show, the chat kicks up when I'm doing boring stuff. You start talking to each other, but when I'm doing stuff that you might be interested in, you all shut up and watch what I'm doing, which is fine. Okay, so we've spoken about the different width rebates you can get from doing different bearings. I've put a link for anyone in Australia. I've put a link to the Carbotech affiliate site. So I'm totally open about that. You're still there, Brian. Excellent. Paul, you're fine, not to worry. You sit in the corner and eat Tim Tams. if you're interested only. I'm not forcing you to do it, just if you're interested. All right, where are we up to now? You want to hear it. One of the things I've also discovered is you need to support the whole box away from anything else that may make it vibrate. It might contaminate the sound with different sound waves. On Australian Woodsmiths magazine, they have these arches or arcs underneath. So it looks, you know, pretty sexy and just stands on the timber itself. I'm planning on putting rubber feet on the bottom, so I don't need to have that. It'll be sitting up a little bit so air will still be able to move around underneath it. Not that it needs it, because the baseboard is really thick, 3/4 of an inch thick. That's pretty heavy. There are plans available for the drum. Yeah, does the Jarrah base put pressure on the box? David, no. This timber is extremely well seasoned, and the Jarrah, I got it reclaimed from a kitchen. It was a benchtop in a kitchen, and you can see in that video where I was showing you ripping it, it had biscuits in it. So I built a table out of it for my brother-in-law around 3 years ago, and that kitchen was in Sydney, and I think it was built in the 70s. So it's very, very well seasoned. This isn't going anywhere. I think it'll be fine. I'm going to put a seal on the whole thing anyway, and inside. So I think it'll be fine. All right, now, I did say that I'm going to support it. Now, before I go hitting it with any dongers, I'll show you a little trick with those as well. I'm going to put a towel here for those clamps to sit on. The reason that I haven't, I'm enjoying this. I really am. The reason, actually, I might even make some plans for the thing. How's that sound? And the glow in the dark, if you're interested, it works. The green works a whole lot better than the purple. Now, there we go. I've got all these clamps on to keep the air sealed around the edges. So air can't escape out cracks. It's got to come out through the sound box here. Now there's only 2 notes on this one so far. We might work at trying to fix that, but 2 notes. And I haven't tuned it yet. I've put a couple of holes in the tongues, and I'll show you about that in a minute. But this sounds really horrible. This is a very hard, very noisy. Hear that? It's not going to sound much better on the drum. So it's a heads up. It's okay. Do you like the sound? And let's go to another note. A little bit different. Now that's the reason I'm making another one with much different lengths of tongues to play. So I'm hoping that I can get vastly different notes with shorter and longer all over the place. And then I'm going to try and fine tune them. Now you listen when I use a glue brush that's got a rubber head. So this is your mallet. I'm going to try and find rubber mallet heads because it's a much nicer tone. You know the difference between steel string guitars and nylon string guitars. It might give you a little bit of a heads up as to how the tones can change. There's so many different aspects. Here we go. Now that's the only 2 notes that this bloody thing will play, but let's have a look. See that? Longer. All of those are the same note. I don't know why. And these ones are all the same note. Slightly different. Slightly different. So, it sounds great. Now, if I didn't have the clamps on, it'd sound rubbish. One of the things to be aware of is don't put the bass in right at the beginning. Oh, maybe I'm just thinking aloud here while I'm going, because I'll take the top off and we can have a quick look. The reason I said that was so that you can tune it. Gee, Bessie, you're getting some value out of me today. aren't they? Look at all these clamps. So to tune it, we'll drill some holes in the bottom. Now, I'm thinking, because I've got individual holes, I'm going to have to join them to see if I can change the tone or the pitch. Should alter the tuning, the thickness as well. Yeah, so this is 15 millimeters thick. The base is 19. Now, I don't really want to muck around trying to adjust the thickness underneath apart from using a drill. So we're going to do that next. I love this stuff. Oh, down the bottom, see I've got the round areas there on the piece of jarrah. I just found something that was going to be the right diameter. So this, I guess I could have used the little Rockler radius jigs that I've got. I forgot all about those. I should have used those. What I did was I used this. I saw that it was exactly the right diameter. I drew a circle on each corner and then just took it over to the disc sander and cleaned it up. Didn't take long. All right, quick drink, quick drink. This is going well. All right, what do I need here? Drill. Okay, did that shut? I love that unit. All right, I'm going to try and do this without stuffing it up. So I might go to Carl Cam for this. All right, so there we can see I've got all these holes. All right, here we go. I'm a little nervous. I don't think this is going to fare well. No, that's not going to be any good. How about a chisel? That might work. I'll get my mallet. This part I hadn't done. Now apparently there's a few different types of timber that are good for soundboards. And I'm hoping, I need to put that on a solid surface. I'll put it straight on the bench. I'm hoping that jarrah and Australian bloodwood are going to be good soundboard timbers. Now I know a guy who used to make harps in Australia, and he said the Australian hardwoods were absolutely best for soundboards in his harps. Oh, I think this is going to be the better way. Wrong way around. I will be using the CNC to make these as well. Jarrah is a good soundboard. Don't know about bloodwood. Under the keys is resonance chambers, tuned by altering the length of pipe. Yeah, I've seen that as well. Ben, this is a project you might want to do with your wife. Give it to the kids, drive you crazy. I won't be too much longer with this. Because I do want, just to hear if it's going to make a difference at this stage, I want to get started on cutting. That should make a difference, you know. Let's have a little listen. See how rubbish it sounds? Fell on the floor. Thank you, Paul. Noisy enough they don't need an added drum. Get them some saucepans. All right, go back to the front camera here. Let's see what happens. You do that and you think, what a rubbish thing, until you actually clamp it on. So I'm going to clamp it back on, and then we'll get stuck into cutting the next board with the jarrah. I'm excited. Clamp it on, and then we'll have a little bit of a look at the other things we're going to do. So I'm going to create a rebate as well. So it's all about holding the sound, holding the air, I should say. If you don't hold the air, it's not going to work. I remember from my days as a kid at primary school, we had drums at school, and they had a skin on the top that you hit, and I think there was another skin on the underside. I think. Correct me if I'm wrong. Were you in a school band? Played a recorder or nothing? A cymbal, triangle? They give the triangle to the kids that weren't terribly good at reading music. Okay, I'm curious. Well, those holes didn't really do much, did they? Camphor, laurel and jarrah. PV resonance was xylophone made by pastmakers. Skin ends on a standard drum. Both ends. There you go. Dave, when all done, does the top get glued on or some other fastener? Play the full one. David, I have watched what other people have done, and they've glued the top on. And then they've screwed the base on later. Now, I'm also starting to wonder whether or not I should put a gasket in here or whether I should just use this. So they say this stuff is, instrument makers use this, the number one. They say it works best. I think the natives are coming out of the jungle. Depends on the vibration rate of the tongue. The ends of the tongue are left as is. This can hold the vibration rate constant. You could try a rubber seal on the lid. Exactly right. So what we're going to do is I'm going to create a rebate on the lid and drop it down in there. And we can do a little round over and all that kind of stuff. But first thing I'm going to do, I love these kind of exploratory little tasks. Okay, this is dry now. So I'm going to drill some holes across the end. Oh, before I do, so I don't get lost, I'm going to use a marking pen. We'll go up to CarlCam again, so I know where I'm at. Okay, so we need from there to there, from there to there, from there. And this is a slightly different shape, see that? Done. I like this. Okay, now. And I'm liking this a lot. This was an interesting one. I didn't know what was happening here, but let's go, because this is just freestyle. And Why not? Why not? Why not? How's that look? All right. Now, I've got a bigger distance there than there, so I'm going to bring this back. Let's actually use the scientific method of that to there. How's that look? That might work. Cool. That might be nice. All right. We're going to drill some holes. Get the other drill out. So I'm going to use I think it's around a 10mm drill. And we'll switch cameras back over here again. And clamp it down onto the Stanton bench. Done. All right, let's drill some holes. I think I need to put a battery in. We use the battery off the other one. I was thinking to myself before I started, oh, I should put new batteries in all the gear so it doesn't look like it's lame. But no. The drills really do last a long time. The batteries last a long time. Now the reason I'm drilling holes is because at the end of a cut, if you just have the cut itself, you're very likely to split the timber. If you have a hole and you cut up into that hole, it shares the load around the end and the timber's less likely to split. That's my story. If you remember, back in the old days, at primary school, when I was a kid, now this is a long time ago, we had timber benches and the legs were timber. This is benches for sitting out in the playground for lunch. And they had, the leg came down, up in a V, and then down and then back up to the seat. And right in the peak of that V was a dirty big hole. See if you can remember. That's how it was. There we go, we've got those holes there. It's so easy if you make yourself a template and glue it on like I've done. You like to keep it real. Thanks, Peter. Now you may notice 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 5. I've got different amounts. So not only are we going to change the length, we're going to change the width of some of the tongues. It's not very scientific. This is freestyle. Right. Bring it back to about there. And itchy nose, itchy nose. I'm going to get the dust extractor and plug it onto the end of the jigsaw. Back again, there we go. Now if you can support it like this, it makes it a whole lot easier. Now I've spoken about the batteries. You watch, the jigsaw is going to jump in and say, oh, I've got no power. If you've got a jigsaw and it's a battery one, leave the battery out while you put the blade in. when you change the blade. Also, I've been seeing some people on Facebook have been complaining that they say that they can't get the blade out of a Carvex. Well, if the machine is at the bottom of its stroke, the blade is always plunged down, you're not going to get it out, because what releases it is just here. There is a little switch you push, and it actually works on the mount for the blade just there. So I can push that out. You watch, it's going to flick it out. See? If the blade's at the bottom of the stroke, it's not going to do that. It's a pretty basic thing. This particular one, this particular blade, they say is okay for circles, corners, going around curves and everything, but I've only got a long one. I don't have a short particular blade that does this work. So, I don't know. We'll just go with what I've got. And also I've got it on strobe, which makes the blade look like it's frozen still. So it's easier to watch. And with battery, it's, I got the Bluetooth. I'm going to put the earmuffs on. Eye-muffs, I should say. Here we go. Now, I don't have it on pendulum. I have it on straight up and down. There's settings on the side here. I get a finer cut if it's just going straight up and down instead of going down and then like a drive piston rod on a steam engine. So I do all these cuts. Turn the dust extractor on again. Drop that down. Beautiful. I'm going to get the other camera. Hi, Bink, how are you? Look, see what I got using today? That's the daughter that got me that one for Father's Day. All right. That's a good daughter. As she would say, the favourite child. Did I mention that sometimes she's also a little bit delusional? Bring that across over to about there. That should work okay. Yeah. Okay. Let's go to this camera and bring it in a bit closer. And you might be able to watch that strobe effect that I was talking about on the jigsaw. Switch cameras. Okay, that's where we're up to so far. And I did mention the strobe. It'll look as though, I'll bring that up, the blade's just sitting still. Give it a minute. It's not going to work with the frequency of the cameras, unfortunately. I can see it fine from here. All right. Yes, the eye muffs are available in the US. Turn on the Dusty again. Push that down. I was going to swing around. Wrong last word, okay. I was going to swing around and do that cut, but I was going to bump into the camera, so I'll do those right at the end. This is a magic saw for doing pipe cuts. I absolutely love it. That's where we're up to so far. No, I'm not going to hit the bench. Don't worry. Don't worry about that. Okay, let's have a look where we're up to. I need to do that cut. I need to do that one and this one down here. I should be able to do these from here. If I turn that around a little bit more, that might work for me. And I need to come down the side to there to release that one. But I'll do this one first. Can you see the strobe? I don't know, maybe you can, maybe you can't. Here we go. Bumping into the support, into the clamp there for a second. All right, so we've got that. I'm going to do this cut there. That's the first hole for the sound, which is terrific. Okay, so done, done. I'll come around and do this one. I should be able to come around and do that from here. The camera's getting in the way. Good. That's that one. And then I've got this one here. Should be fine. Now, if you've got a scroll saw, you can do it with a scroll saw. Come on, out you come. Finish that cut from there. And then go around there. I might just go straight in from this side, I think. Got it. Don't be tempted to pull the machine out while it's still going. Andrew, of course. At the beginning of the show I said I would do that in the future, but I'm just showing most people have a jigsaw. I'm talking loud again, aren't I? Someone said a little earlier, keep it real. That's what I'm trying to do for people that have, so they don't have to go out and spend the big dollars. I think I need to do that one there. We're nearly got it all cut out. So that, and that, they're all done. So I've got to do the end of this one, and that should drop out if I just finish that bit off there as well. Are we good there? So I'll come in there, and I'll nip that part off first. Got it? And this part here. Got a free-hand this last bit. There we go. What's holding you? That it's being held right there. Okay. Ha! This is so fun. Take this one out. Gone. Good. Okay. Now switch to the other camera. Yeah, I do have a scroll saw, but I'm not the world's best scroll saw user. I'm actually a rubbish scroll saw person. But I'm getting handy with the CNC, and I am curious to have a bit more of a go with a scroll saw as well. I just moved out of the way. I've moved that all the way down there. I should have just brought it over here. How are we doing? This is great. Great, great, great. I'm going to sand the top off first, open that up, go down to the back here, shut the other gates, just have that top one open. Dust extractor running there. That's all connected, I think. Hear it whistling down there. What's camera 3 like? Yeah, let's throw that one on. Okay. I'm going to sand the paper off. Even though it's been glued on, I'll take a couple of passes off the top and see if I can get rid of it. Up. Down. Tip it up a little. I'm curious to hear it. Starting to look a bit cleaner, isn't it? There we go. I love it. Love it, love it, love it. All right. Let's switch the cameras back again. Ordinarily, I'm a pretty tidy person. What I do is I normally put things away when I've finished using it, even if I'm going to get it out in another 10 minutes. I put things away because it gives me a whole lot more space. I've got a lot of space here, but I look after it. I respect my space. But at the moment, I get too excited and I don't put things away. And you can see it starting to catch up. Okay, that was the one that we had. Looked very, very nice, like a bit of a harp or my tummy. This one. Put that on there. And we're going to hit it with a round over and a rebate very, very soon. But I want to hear what it does. You put things away so I know where they are. That's exactly same as me, David. Same as me. I'm a shocker. I just forget. No, I'm looking all over the place. You've seen me do it on the show, looking for things. Let's say clamping it down is crucial for the sound. We're trapping air. Number 46, but you got here late. Did you take a number at the counter, did you? What would you like today, sir? Any sliced ham or cheese? Do they still have those numbers at the deli where you take a number and then that's the person's going to serve you next? Oh, I can't touch that part. I've gone onto one of the tongues. Oh, very excited. Very, very excited. Let's go to Carl Camp for this one. It looks nice. I like it. One other thing I've got to do. give it its best chance. I'm going to throw the towel under it. I'm not going to throw the towel in. I'm going to throw the towel under it. Beautiful. All right, here we go. And I've seen him do this. Let's hit it with a hard one, see what happens. It needs a lot of tuning. I guess I could go, sounds much nicer like that. Those two are the same. So are they. So I'm sure it's going to sound lovely when I've finished and actually close it in. I think it's going to be fine. And using an official glue brush isn't probably the best way of doing it. Let me go back to the other camera. I know. It sounds fine. It's a bit of fun, and I don't know if I've got the acoustics right as far as how much air has got to be able to move backwards and forwards, as in how much room I've left in all of those holes. You see on the other one, there's a lot. See that? There's a lot of air is allowed to travel through here. But the tone was fine. I liked it. I like the rubber mallets. And let me have a quick read. If you take more timber off the keys, you'll get different sounds. Or will the sound not be as intense due to more air being able to escape? These are all questions, Bing. I don't know. I don't know. Ash drummers worldwide rushing to buy glue brushes. Of course, of course. Captain Kent sounds like I need to send one home with my grandson. Is that with chips? I'm not. I might have missed out of something there. Were you saying that I'm placing an order on the internet or Jungle Grapevine or something? I don't know. It's just when I put this in here. Look, let's do that. I'm going to move the camera down to the table saw, and I'm showing you Mozart did not roll over in his grave. Aren't I lucky having all of these people that are nice and cheeky? So you can see when I switch the cameras, I'll take all of this off here. I'm going to create the rebate, and I'm also going to do a round over. It's not going to take very long. So we've got a couple of minutes left. Stick with me. We'll do all this stuff. Look further up, Dave. I will. And I'll switch cameras, but I'll have a look in a minute. Okay, that looks pretty good. So you can see down there, I've got the table saw set up with Favourite Daughter's push block and a 6mm flat top blade. And I'm going to open up the dust extraction underneath the table saw because I don't like breathing all of that stuff in. I'm going to take off basically 6mm by 6mm. I think it's going to work well. I'm going to measure the top of the drum, or the internal space. I've got 143mm there, and I've got plenty there. So, and internal this way, I've got 342, and that way I've got 346. Yes, so that should be just about perfect for the end grain. All right, so as I say, it's a 6mm flat top blade. I do have a recess in my sacrificial fence. This is a little jig that I made years ago. You can have a look at the video if you want. I've got my insert in there for a 6mm blade. I'm up about 6. Let's give it a shot. Turn the dusty on. I'm going to use the block to hold it while I pass it over. I'm going to pass long ways to start, and then I'm going to do the end grain because I won't get any tear out that way. That's the plan. Okay, so you can see the rebate that I'm creating, or rabbit, whatever you want to call it. Now I think the length is fine. I'll turn the dusty off so I'm not talking over that. Yes. Oh, just missing. So we'll do that first. I'll sneak this out 1 more millimetre that direction. Gotcha. We'll get the ends done first. Tuned to what's happening here. It's only just. I'm taking 1/2 millimetre at a time. Oh, look at that. No movement. No movement sideways. Now I need to have a look at this direction. And you can see I need to take off around 4 millimetres off the width, which means 2 millimetres per side. I've already moved it at about 1 millimetre. So I'll sneak it just a touch more. This is guessometric, but it's okay. I'm going to quickly check. Looking good. I can't see any of the chat at the moment because I'm over here. Okay, now I know I can go a couple more. Making sure that other dust port there was shut. We're going to have about another 3 or 4 minutes in the show, then we're over. Oh, beautiful. Look at that, my friends. No movement. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. Just beautiful. That's what I want. Now I'm going to put a round over on it. So down here, and I'm going to bring this guard back to about there. And I'm going to plug the dust extractor into this. I'll have a quick read while I'm down here. Feel like that lolly advert, chop it. You like that, Peter? Okay, taking this back down to the other machine. Plug the dust in. See, I could have rushed it, but I don't like doing that. I like to look after my I've got the room air filter running at the moment as well to keep me safe. If I can make this cable stretch to there, you'll be able to see what's going to happen. There's a bit of a dust port there. So just here encloses the cutter a fair bit, and it makes the dust extraction, or it helps with the chips so they don't go flying around everywhere. Right, I'm going to check the camera again, make sure it's right so everyone can see what's happening. I can tip it up just a little. I'm back that way. Okay, up and across. How's that? All right. Down here, turn her on. Good. Do the other side. For some reason, give me a second. For some reason that's pulled off. I don't know why, but I do want it held in there. I think that's got it. Yeah, beautiful. Would have been a little bit dangerous. That's not going anywhere. So the reason I'm doing this is making sure that the bearing is just proud of this fence that I made. There we go. Go again. Come down to the other end with the box as well, and it's just about time to close it up. Where are we? Let's have a look. I normally round over the long grain first. Now you can ask why. Why would you do that? Well, if it's the same cutter, it's got to be the same cutter, same depth, all that kind of stuff. If I take the long grain off first, and as I'm coming across the other way, there is nothing to chip out because it's gone. I know some people go the other way, David, but that's just the way that I do it. I like it. That looks really sexy. When I clean that up, I'll get some sandpaper and go around the inside, and I might even get the scroll saw and tidy those cuts up. But I think that is lovely, and I'll drop it in there. And let's give it a go with the, no, it's got to be clamped. Has to be clamped. Got to be clamped. And when I put the, when I glue it in after I've tuned it, you're thinking the same thing. Well, proof's in the pudding, Wayne. It worked. This is the way I do it. What's everyone else's opinion on that? Schmexy. And the last one. Again, this is just to trap the air so it can't escape. It's got to leave via the sound points up here. I love it. I absolutely love it. Okay, there we go. It's you're never too old to enjoy yourselves. Make yourself one of these. We'll finish off this project next week. I'll clean it up a little bit in the meantime, and I might see if I can find an app for my phone that tells me notes. Yeah, next week's show. Yeah, I'll wear my Tarzan gear, the loincloth. So where was I before I got distracted by all this banter? Just a couple of principles in there, which were drilling a hole before you do the slots will save it from splitting. Taking time with the jigsaw. With my saw, what I do is I hold onto it as close over the head as possible, so I'm not kind of pushing it from the back. I do all my rotation right over the axis of where the blade is coming down. One of the little things I may not have told you about. Using recycled timber from a tree. This was a log from my front yard. You know, I don't have to slow down, buddy. I'm enjoying myself. I get excited. What else? Thanks for watching. Thank you to all of my patrons. We will have the Patreon chat in about 2 minutes. So if you're a patron, I have put the Zoom meeting right at the top there for you. As you go into Patreon, you'll see it. Have a look in the description box down the bottom for my links. Please use them. Look after yourselves, be nice to each other, and I shall see you all next week. Bye.